We've come down to County Wicklow, invitation really of Norman. He spoke to me quite a few times about coming down to have a look at the operation he's got out here. And one of my favourite deer, I'm always sort of torn between roe and sika deer as my favourite, and I like them both equally, but for different reasons. Sika, there's something about sika stags in particular, just got that kind of attitude, that kind of aggressive look about them, and I just think there's something pretty special about, you know, sika stag, black, muscular, kind of thick cover, difficult deer to stalk. I think that's one of the reasons I like them. I don't like easy stalking. I don't want to go out and be whacking deer every time I go out. I want to have to work for my deer. I want it to be a challenge, and I think with sika in this sort of situation are challenging, to say the least. We're relatively early season. We're in the stag season. Our season opens in September, and I didn't really want to come down when they're in the thick of the rut. I mean, obviously Norman's going to be busy with a lot of clients. Just wanted to come down and have a look at, you know, early season. Quite frankly, we didn't expect the weather. It's absolutely glorious. The summer we've had this year just seems to be going on and on and on, and very much like Ayrshire, they've had very little rain here. But this is Ireland. It rains all the time in Ireland. But it's very dry, very warm. Most of the days we've had 18 degrees, and it's interesting because I've seen the same sort of habit with the woodland red deer that we've got, in that you really only get a very, very brief period in the morning and at night to actually see them, because they're feeding all night. The vegetation is lush, there's bags of food available for them, there's no pressure on them. They're feeding all night when it's cool, and by the time it starts to come light, I mean, they're already walking in. And it's the same at night. Then they're often not coming out till after dark, so it's really been quite tricky. Good optics come into their own, both binoculars and obviously scopes here, because you know, you need that to be able to see the deer. But anyway, we got there in the end. We're out again later on this evening, so we'll have another look around and see what happens. Okay, for the first morning, sika tend to behave a little bit like our Ayrshire Reds really, first light and last light. So we elected to get off really early before first light, take up a position really where we were overlooking some scrubby meadow down below us, which kind of oozed deer. Plan being we would just wait, hopefully get deer moving as the light came up before they finally disappeared into thick cover.
I want you to sit up on the sticks in a bit. I want to start blowing the call. You just don't know what might come to that now.
Yeah.
Just out into the open grass on the far side, just open
yeah.
2:30. Other patches 2:25. One coming up in front of us here.
Big tree.
Yeah, there's a deer at the bottom of that. It's after coming now.
That's a hind. One bit of excitement was Norman stepping on a wasp's nest, which quite interesting. It was a big wasp's nest as well. He didn't kind of realise, but the guy behind him, which was me, ended up walking right through the middle of it. So we kind of exited stage left fairly sharply.
They've got a hive there, have they?
It's not a hive, it's a nest. They've gone into that hole, look, and they'll have built a... You've seen the wasp nest in...
Yeah. Look at
well, they've built it in there, so we've disturbed that nest. It's come through.
They wouldn't attack.
They sting you like...
Right, we're going to stalk on this one.
Okay. We saw a few deer, but it was so warm. Deer just sort of disappeared into cover. You can't blame them really, feeding pretty much overnight. So back for a breakfast and a bit of a chill before the evening session. Nature's harvest. They won't starve. Beautiful. Blackberries this year are absolutely massive.
The weather is unusually hot. And it's not helping us.
Unbelievable, isn't
We're
it?
seeing animals, we're seeing lots of females, seeing the calves, the big stags just aren't moving yet. There's nothing we can do. We've seen, I think yesterday even was the best we've seen.
Yeah.
Maybe over 20 animals.
Just a nice evening, bit cooler, a little bit cooler, wasn't it? Just
Yeah, we are getting stalks in, I mean, we're getting opportunity, but nothing big yet. Planned this season, I think we're better off hunting in the woodland,
yeah.
in the shade.
All right, okay.
I think that the big animals just won't go onto farmland yet.
Yeah.
It's just way too early. I mean, like it was 19 degrees this morning.
It's got to be really
I know
hot.
yesterday morning at 6 o'clock it was 18 degrees.
Yeah.
Which isn't, it's not like ideal for this kind of...
It's not Irish September weather.
It's not Irish weather at all, no. But it's early for rutting as well. That's not going to happen yet anyway. But
I'm finding the same with the reds actually at home, in that
they're just not moving that
they're
much.
not, well,
young ones,
you've maybe got 10 minutes as the light comes,
yeah.
and then they're in, and then they're not coming out till well after dark, and just kind of lying up.
Yeah, it's the same this morning, like down that clear fall.
Yeah, you could see them walking in.
They're just going back in.
Yeah, yeah.
And have a nice stalks though.
It's great. It's not raining.
The company isn't too bad either, like it's alright.
Well, no. I'm reserve judgment.
But yeah, we just keep cracking on.
Great.
See what we can do.
That's
Just have some breakfast now, and I know Chris heading back to bed for an hour or two maybe.
Yeah, never happened. Never happened.
I might get an hour maybe this morning. No, we just get some breakfast. I mean, just keep hunting away.
It's just nice to be out. Nice to be out.
It is nice to be
Lovely
out.
part of the world.
It is nice weather, like. I'm not going to complain over that, but it's not suitable stalking weather for anyone.
We had kind of a nice afternoon walking around the local village. Had a nice lunch, and then met Norman really probably a couple of hours before dark. What's the tree he's talking about then, this one?
The bottom tree down there, where you used to have a high seat, but in like a ditch here somewhere.
Yeah. Not that I can see, no. No. No, just looking. Plan was really to sit. We've got a nice spot overlooking the corner of a wood. Just oozed deer and everything was perfect, but just as we were getting into the golden hour, as I call it, just that magic time before the light fading, the wind completely flipped on us and completely turned, so blowing us into the wood. So we did move. Neither of us were comfortable about it, because we're kind of walking down past the wood and you feel as though you're winding it, but you know, we're faced with little alternative. We'd only got a bit of light left, so it was kind of a rapid charge across the field really. We had a bit of cover with the hedgerow. Perfect.
Cricket.
Where you looking? Where you looking?
Corn.
Oh, up there.
Cricket there, what I think.
It's probably going to work down this hedgerow.
Got it. But you don't have long on this.
Okay. Ooh. Good stop, well done. Enjoyed it.
Bloody heat will kill you. Cruel.
Okay, so true to the last couple of days, we kind of laid up just in a gorse hedge here, right tucked right in close. The wind's just coming up across us, and there's a hedge line, a tree line, deep ditch and brambles with a fir wood at the back of it. It's probably about 120 yards from us to the corner. And just really waited, and right at the death, almost, we could hardly see, you could just pick out some deer starting to move, and there's a bit of a gap in the ditch where deer had obviously been tracking and using it as an entry to the field, a nice lush green field, and seekers started to come out. The stag's right on the edge of the tree line, whipped round, and shot back in, and you know, we can't see anything now, it's nearly dark, so we're just giving it 10 or 15 minutes and then we'll go forward and sort of search on the edge of the trees, but it's going to be really tricky because it's nearly pitch black. Anyway, we'll see how we get on.
See?
Yeah, good deal.
Yeah, well done.
Yeah, good. Thank you very much.
Your first Seiko Irish Safaris. Not your first Seiko, but your first one with us.
Yeah.
Right, we'll drag him out, we'll get a picture.
Yeah. Yeah, some weight on that. Right, I just wanted to talk a little bit about this Leica Callanux View, fairly new, sent to me by the guys at Scots Country International, so thanks very much for that. Really, they wanted me to have a look at it from a user point of view. Now, I'm not a specialist thermal night vision man. I do no night shooting at all. occasionally I might go out for fox, and that's it. I've used thermals a little bit for deer counting, deer spotting, only dabbled, so I'm by no means an expert. I think this is what the guys wanted really from a practical point of view, somebody that's actually out stalking, managing deer, counting deer over restock sites, and whether or not something like this was useful for to me. Probably had it now, I don't know, a week, 10 days, something like that. What a fantastic piece of kit. What I've done in a very sort of simple way is film some footage while I was out the other morning, really just having a look across some land close to home in Ayrshire. They'd cut some barley and some wheat in a fairly big area, and I wanted to check and have a look, see what the deer situation was, but primarily look at foxes, because often you can get foxes just after they've cut the corn crops. So I've used it a little bit over a couple of nights there, quite warm nights. Conditions I suppose are not ideal for a thermal really, because you get a lot of false readings off warm, stones and rocks, and wood absorbs the heat, so you do get a lot of false readings. But really this thing's just on another level from anything else I've looked at. Across the fields you can easily identify rabbits, you can pick out hares, you've got deer, and actually I got a roe doe and a kid feeding, and then there's a smaller image just to the right of them which actually is a fox. You can make that out clearly. So one of the things I was really impressed is that for reasonably long ranges you're actually able to do pretty accurate quarry identification with one of these. Won't ever replace getting the binoculars out and letting the light come up as far as deer is concerned, but it did give me a real early indication of where animals were, and the fox was feeding right next to a doe. Yes. And then I went on to shoot a few more clips a bit later on with deer around the field, so I think you can actually just see how clear the clarity of this is. Absolutely incredible. The other thing that I need is something that's simple. I need to wear reading glasses. I can still see a deer at 1,000 metres without anything, but reading glasses I'm hopeless, so I need something that's fairly easy to operate if I'm going to use it. And you've basically got two control buttons, a menu button in the middle. It really simple piece of kit, and to record on it you just basically press and hold a button and away you go. And bear in mind, this is not a technical spec, technical description. This is actually just somebody using one that's not had one in his hands before and getting out with the field with it and seeing what sort of benefit, if any, there was to me. Very simple to use, super clarity, really good focus, simple menu. You can download it, it's a doddle, plug it into the computer. We've downloaded it onto an SD card. So I'm incredibly impressed with this. I know a few people have contacted me since they knew I got one and said what are my thoughts on it, and my thoughts genuinely are that this is proverbial dogs. This is good.